Well, we've made it to Thursday. It's Thursday, February 16th, 2023. Your Day Weather Podcast brought to you by Cowboy State Daily and YDOT. When there's ice and snow, take it slow. Well, clearing conditions across the West and quite chilly today. The storm system that brought some good snow to many areas of Colorado, parts of Kansas and Nebraska, lighter amounts elsewhere, is heading on off to the east and moving out of the region. But very cold air will come in behind the system. Many areas this morning below zero in the snow-covered basins and valleys of the central Rockies. Now, you know the story. When Arctic air begins to leave, you always have a period where the winds pick up. So winds are going to be picking up and blowing snow will be a problem. This will be especially true in south central and central areas of Wyoming. So this will impact travel. So the Arctic air retreating means the winds pick up. But for today, for Friday, Saturday, there is a break in the weather in the sense we don't see any new snow and we do see temperatures moderating, especially Friday and Saturday. However, the weather's going to basically repeat itself. Remember what happened late last week and last weekend? We had a break in the weather. Then it got cold again and stormy again. Well, that's exactly what's going to happen. As early as Sunday and Sunday night, the northern Rockies will see increasing mountain snow, some snow showers in the plains. This will be especially true for Montana, Idaho, and northern and western areas of Wyoming, with northwest wind flow aloft developing. And this is going to set a pattern into place. Next week is cold. Next week is unsettled. There is snow coming, especially the high country. See, the high country of the West seeing a period of significant snow again. And there's going to be some snow coming out onto the plains. And there's going to be some very cold air settling in out of Canada along the east slopes of the Rockies, but also getting west of the divide. And this is kind of crazy, and I think it is crazy. I don't know exactly if this is going to happen or not, but there could be snow in San Francisco next week. Is it on the table? It is, and I'll show you why. We'll see what happens. So as we take a look at where we are today, the upper level low that swung through yesterday is heading to the Midwest. On the north side and the west side of the system, it's going to be winter weather conditions here with snow and ice, and then the collision of air masses, moist, warm air out of the Gulf, cold air coming in on the back side of it, and you're going to end up with a lot of weather. And so you can see the National Weather Service winter storm watches and warnings and advisories along the northwest past that low right here. So lots of travel problems in this part of the nation through the next 24 hours. This yellow area here basically is showing where there are tornado watches because of the severe weather that's going to be breaking out there. Wind chill advisories in that light blue right here. That brown is a high wind watch for I-25 later. See all this purple and blue in California, Arizona? Those are frost and hard freeze warnings in place this morning. So there's a lot on the table today across the country. Severe weather here, snow here, hard freezing in the southwestern United States. And there's your severe weather threat. There will be, it's not if, but there will be tornadoes in this section right here. It's a pretty big collision setting up of air masses in the southeastern and south central areas of the United States. So if you're a weather watcher, lots to watch here over the next 24 hours. Here's our break in the weather. This is for Friday. Low spinning off the coast of California won't do much. More of a westerly flow and a little bit of high pressure over the Rockies and high plains. This is our little break in the weather. And you can see this is for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in terms of the precipitation forecast. Not a lot going on. So nice break in the weather right now. The wind and the blowing snow is going to be the problem. But it all comes to an end because after we see this period of a break in the weather and the wind, and what I'm showing you right here are the wind gusts that will be taking place over the next 2 to 3 days. So the wind-prone areas here of I-25, central Wyoming, through Muddy Gap, through the Shirley Basin, along I-80. This is where blowing snow is going to be a bit of a headache. But here we go into Sunday. Sunday, that upper low in California kind of retrogrades to the west. The building high is still there. So when we get a ridge here, we go into the fridge. So here comes the colder air swinging in on the backside of this system. So temperatures begin to fall again. After going up Friday and Saturday, they begin to slip Sunday into Monday. This is going to be a moist northwest flow. The trajectory of the air is over the water as it comes into the Rockies. That's important. That's going to increase the amount of water available in these jet stream winds to come in and bring snow to the northern Rockies. And here it is. This is the precipitation forecast through Monday morning. Montana, the higher mountains of Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming, far northern Colorado, are going to get into that northwest flow, and snow is going to be redeveloping in those mountain areas there, spilling out into the plains up here as the cold air comes back in again. And this is what the snowfall looks like. Now, this is by Tuesday. By Tuesday, the colder air seeps further south into the region. And this low sliding down the British Columbia coast is going to be a real troublemaker. And I'll show you here in a minute why. The big high is well anchored in the eastern Pacific. Big high anchored in the North Atlantic. So here comes the outbreak of cold again, sliding its way into the western United States. But what is going to be sort of, I don't want to call it unusual, it's not the good word to describe it, but something you don't see very often, when this low comes down the west coast, instead of it wanting to kind of slide into the Great Basin, this low just goes down the Pacific coast. And as it does so, this is by Tuesday, cold air spills south along the Continental Divide again. And this is important. What happens is the cold air slides in early next week along and east of the divide, setting up what we call an overrunning event later on. And this is what happens. This is the period of time of what will happen with precipitation for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Overrunning cold, moist air coming over from the southwest and the northwest is likely going to create a cold and snowy regime in this area right here as we get into the early parts of next week. It's really focusing on the mountains. But look at Nebraska, look at parts of central and eastern Wyoming, western South Dakota, maybe northwestern and northern areas of Colorado. You're getting into a wintry pattern again with developing snow as cold air gets draped along and east of the divide. And this is what the snowfall looks like from Monday through Wednesday. So things get really busy again. Then there's the low dropping down the west coast. The coldest of the cold air aloft is situated over central and northern areas of California. Now, the southwest wind flow usually will bring warm air in the region, and it will. The problem, though, is the Arctic air is going to be along and east of the divide by then if this pattern sets up, and this is where you get overrunning. Arctic air on the ground, overrun by milder, more moist Pacific air, and it's just a great way to make it snow along and east of the divide, while the coldest air actually spills in west of the divide. This could set up a wild pattern next week across the western United States. And there you can see the Arctic air by next Saturday. This is by next Saturday. Look at how deep and cold the Arctic air is along and west of the divide. But look how cold it is with all this blue and purple here from Arizona through Las Vegas, through Los Angeles, up to Portland, all the West Coast areas, much, much colder than the 30-year averages. And this is what will happen potentially with the pumping of that Pacific air into the western United States. Here we go again, another big period of time where the mountains of the west will see significant snowfall, and some of that will be reaching the low elevations. Look at the snowfall over the next 10 days. So I want to give a heads up to everybody that there's going to be travel headaches next week, livestock interest, you need to be prepared for some cold. You need to be prepared for some snow again after this little break that's coming in our weather. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about the West Coast. This will be great precipitation for California again. The way it's setting on up, this will be a nice another shot in the arm with it when it comes to precipitation. But take a look at this. If this happens, this is next Thursday, Friday time frame, so it's a week away. So take this with a grain of salt. But this is what's fun about showing you what could evolve in the current pattern if it does come together. So this is the snowfall forecast for north central California. So you can see the Bay Area right here. So you can see the coastal mountain ranges could see snowfall. This is from the European model. It's just not the European model. The U.S. model has snow in the area, and so does the Canadian model. So we'll see what happens. Now, going out further, this is for the last day of February, and we can basically say that we're in the same pattern about 10 days and further out from now. The high in the Pacific, high up in the North Atlantic, and the cold air has easy access to the western United States. Look at these temperature anomalies by the 1st of March. So, bottom line is, next 2 to 3 weeks, there's going to be a lot of winter all across the western United States. Have yourself a good Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow.